Once upon a time, on a hilltop, there stood 3 tall trees. One day, they began conversing with one another about all of their hopes and all of their dreams. The first tree said, "Someday, I wish to become a treasure chest. I would be filled with gold, silver, and precious stones. I would be adorned with intricate carvings, and everyone would admire my beauty." The second tree said, "I dream of becoming a mighty ship, carrying kings and queens across the waves to every corner of the earth. My strength would provide a sense of security to all aboard." The third tree said, "I want to continue to grow and become the tallest and mightiest tree in the forest. In my position at the top of the hill, people would admire my branches, contemplate God, and feel how close I am to Him. I would become the greatest tree throughout all times and nations, and people would always remember me." After several years of the prayers of the trees for their dreams, the lumberjacks appeared in the forest. One approached the first tree and said, "This sturdy tree would make a fine piece for a carpenter," and began to cut it down. The tree was delighted, for the carpenter could make it into a treasure chest. As the woodcutters approached the second tree, it heard them say, "This robust tree could be sold to shipbuilders." The second tree rejoiced as it was on its way to realizing its dream. When the loggers approached the third tree, it grew fearful because its dream would not come true if it were cut down. One of the loggers said, "I don't need any particular wood, I'll take this tree," and they cut it down. The carpenters made a feeding trough for cattle from the first tree. They placed it in a barn and filled it with hay. It was not at all what the tree had prayed for. The second tree was turned into a small fishing boat. Its dreams of becoming a mighty ship and transporting kings were shattered. The third tree was turned into lumber and left lying in the darkness. Years passed, and the trees forgot about their dreams. And then, one day, a man and a woman entered a barn. The woman gave birth to a baby, and they laid the child in the hay in the cattle trough made from the first tree. The man would have preferred a crib for the baby, but it was all they had. Suddenly, the tree understood the significance of this birth and that the greatest treasure of all times and nations lay within it. Years later, a group of people sailed in a fishing boat made from the second tree. One of them grew tired and fell asleep. While they were sailing, a mighty storm began, and the tree doubted that the boat was strong enough to keep everyone safe. The other people woke the sleeping man. He stood up and commanded, "Be still," and the storm ceased. The tree then understood. It had carried the King of Kings in its boat. And one day, someone came to get the lumber of the third tree. It was carried through the streets, and many people spat at the one carrying it. When they got to the base of the hill, they nailed the man who carried it to the lumber and lifted him so that he would die on the top of the hill. When Sunday came, the tree realized it stood on top of the hill and was as close to God as possible, because Jesus Christ had been crucified on it. The essence of this story is that when everything doesn't go as you wish, remember that God has a plan for you, or more accurately, the processes that unfolded independently of humans and continue to unfold today, and we, observing this, call it God. If you find yourself in a difficult situation or facing unexpected outcomes, trust that a higher plan is at play. If you trust in this, you can receive precious gifts. Each tree got what it asked for, but not precisely in the way they had imagined. We don't always know the plans set for us by what many today call God. We only know that these plans are sometimes different from our plans. Yet these plans, in the end, are always the best,